When someone wounds you deeply, the instinct is to protect yourself, hide the pain, strike back, or build walls so high no one can reach you. But what if the real power isn't in revenge or retreat, but in transforming the hurt into unshakable strength? Stay until the end, because I'm going to share 5 life-changing ways to rise above betrayal with clarity, self-respect, and peace that no one can take away. Have you ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted deeply? Someone you never imagined would shatter your heart, disturb your spirit, or rob you of your peace? Wounds inflicted by others often run deeper than we dare to admit. They don't just bruise the surface, they strike the core of who we are. But staying in pain is not strength, and seeking revenge is not healing, not even close. In this video, we will explore 5 transformative ways to face those who've hurt you, not with rage, but with wisdom, inner power, and unwavering self-respect. Not by becoming colder, but by becoming clearer. Not by shutting down, but by rising up from the inside out. When someone wounds you, your first instinct might be to bury the pain. You convince yourself to toughen up, to keep moving, to never let it show. You might even laugh it off, tell yourself it's not a big deal. But what if I told you that true strength doesn't lie in concealing your pain? It lies in honoring it, in holding space for it, in letting it speak so it can eventually let you go. There's a subtle untruth many of us absorb, that admitting emotional pain is weakness, that acknowledging hurt makes you fragile or broken. But in reality, facing your pain is one of the bravest things you can do. It takes courage to sit with what aches. It takes self-trust to say, this affected me, especially in a world that often tells us to move on before we've even caught our breath. It demands honesty. It requires vulnerability. And above all, it speaks to your self-worth. Because when you tell the truth about your pain, you're not giving it more power, you're taking your power back. When you're hurt through betrayal, neglect, cruelty, or even silence, a wound forms. And like all wounds, if left untreated, it festers. It doesn't simply fade with time. You might distract yourself, force a smile, stay busy enough to drown it out. But unacknowledged pain doesn't disappear, it simply digs deeper. It waits, quietly, patiently, and what takes root inside you soon begins to shape your thoughts, your behaviors, even your self-image. Suppressed pain often transforms into resentment. It becomes a quiet pressure that eventually erupts, perhaps in misdirected anger, distrust of those who care, or a persistent feeling of inadequacy. You may find yourself reacting to the present as if it were the past, protectively, guarding yourself against threats that no longer exist, pushing away love because it feels unfamiliar, unsafe. This is the hidden burden of unresolved hurt. You begin to carry the weight of someone else's actions as if it's your own. You start molding yourself around the wound, building walls instead of bridges. And in doing so, you end up betraying the one person who needs you most, yourself. So what's the alternative? Sit with the pain, acknowledge it, give it a name, say, yes, that hurt. Yes, I'm disappointed. Yes, I expected better. Don't minimize it. Don't compare it to others' pain. Your pain is real. It matters, and it deserves to be seen. This isn't about dwelling in suffering or letting it define you. It's about respecting yourself enough to process what occurred. Feel the emotion, allow it space. Let it rise and fall like a wave, and release it, not on someone else's timeline, but on your own. When you allow yourself to feel fully, you heal more completely. Healing begins with honesty. The moment you speak your truth, even quietly, even only to yourself, you take back power from the silence. And in doing so, you become more anchored. You stop pretending. You stop wearing masks. You begin to live with authenticity. And that becomes your new strength. Those who embrace their pain don't weaken. They deepen. They don't grow bitter. They gain clarity. And they don't remain stuck. They transform. Because true healing isn't just about feeling better. It's about becoming whole. So next time you're wounded, resist the urge to pretend you're fine. Don't chase appearances. Don't reach for the mask. Turn inward. Speak truthfully. Let the pain rise, breathe, and pass. Because that is not weakness. That is where unstoppable strength is born. That's where healing begins. Not in denial, but in presence. When pain strikes, it's tempting to shut down, to retreat, to numb. You may think, if I don't let anyone in, I won't get hurt again. And in the fog of betrayal or emotional fatigue, that may seem like safety. It feels like a protective shield, a sanctuary you can control. But in truth, it becomes a prison over time. Because in shielding your heart, you might begin isolating it. You start building walls, not to protect, but to imprison. And in doing so, you not only block those who hurt you, but also those who could love you with sincerity. You lock out possibility. You silence hope. And eventually, you forget what openness even feels like. There's a difference between being guarded and being wise. One is rooted in fear, the other in discernment. A boundary says, I honor my peace and protect it. A wall says, no one enters. Boundaries arise from self-respect. Walls are built from fear. Boundaries say, I choose who gets access to my heart. Walls say, no one is allowed near it. When the lines blur, you might feel protected, but it's a lonely sort of safety. You keep everyone out, not because they've wronged you, but because someone else did. And in doing so, you begin to rewrite your story around pain rather than healing. True boundaries aren't acts of revenge. They are declarations of inner worth. They communicate your values clearly, with grace, with conviction. You don't owe long explanations. You don't have to justify your emotional limits. You simply know your value and act in alignment with it. That quiet knowing becomes your compass. If someone continues to hurt, disrespect, or drain you, it is entirely fair to say, this can't continue in my life. That's not cruelty, that's maturity, that's clarity. It's the moment you choose yourself, not out of ego, but out of wisdom. You're not retaliating, you're choosing peace over chaos, certainty over confusion. You're choosing to let go of patterns that no longer serve you. And in doing so, you reclaim your emotional space, space that belongs to you and only you. Here's where it gets complicated. Pain can make you numb. You begin to expect betrayal. You become suspicious, detached, cold, guarded, and you mistake this emotional withdrawal for strength. You start to believe that caring less is safer. But detachment isn't healing, it's survival. And survival mode doesn't allow for growth. It keeps you stagnant, frozen. Healing is a delicate balance of protection and openness. You learn from your past, but you don't let it stain your view of the future. Not everyone will harm you. Some people will show up with gentleness, loyalty, and consistency. But you'll never know if you never let yourself be seen, if you never take the risk of connection. Boundaries allow you to love, connect, and trust with discernment. You stop overgiving. You stop tolerating what burdens you. You begin to protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Your peace is not a luxury. It is a necessity, a foundation. You don't need to harden your heart to keep it safe. You don't need to turn to stone. You simply need to understand where you end and where others begin. That's the essence of a healthy boundary. That's how you shield your spirit without silencing it. That's how you remain open, yet protected. When someone wounds you emotionally, a storm of feelings can follow. Anger, sorrow, confusion, even a burning desire for revenge. You might want to strike back, say something sharp, or inflict a wound of your own. That's the impulse to react. Fast, unfiltered, raw. But reactions rarely bring closure. More often, they escalate the chaos. They pull you into the very storm you're trying to escape. And when the dust settles, you're left with regret, not relief. So instead, pause, breathe. Let your response come from wisdom, not woundedness. From clarity, not chaos. That's not weakness, that's power. There's a vital distinction between reacting and responding. Reacting is instant. It's born of emotion and defensiveness. It's the sharp retort, the raised voice, the impulsive text. It's survival mode, raw, unfiltered, and often regrettable. Reacting hands your power to the very person who hurt you. It gives them control not just over your actions, but over your state of being. Responding, however, is mindful. It follows the pause. It waits for clarity. It doesn't deny emotion, but it doesn't allow emotion to drive the wheel. It reflects your strength, not your wounds. It is presence over impulse, awareness over ego. When you respond instead of react, you reclaim your center. You demonstrate emotional intelligence. You're no longer being led by your pain. You're leading yourself with poise, with discernment, with grounded strength. This isn't about stuffing down your emotions or pretending they're not real. This isn't forced composure or emotional suppression. It's about letting your feelings rise, giving them space, acknowledging them fully, and then choosing not to speak or act from the rawest part of them. You speak with wisdom, not with wounds. You express with integrity, not intensity. Emotional mastery isn't cold indifference, it's dignified presence. It's knowing exactly how you feel and still choosing to be thoughtful. It's refusing to let someone else's behavior dictate your state of mind. When you react, you echo their chaos. When you respond, you anchor your truth. You choose alignment over reaction. Consider how many regrets are born from quick reactions, words you wish you hadn't said, messages you wish you hadn't sent, actions that fanned the flame, damage that outlived the moment. The pause, however short, can save your peace and protect your power. Learning to respond is not just about preserving relationships. It's about preserving your peace, about preserving you. Taking a breath before acting doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. It's the space where self-awareness lives, where your values have a voice, where intention overrides impulse. Sometimes silence is strength. Sometimes walking away speaks louder than confrontation. Sometimes a calm voice carries more weight than shouting ever will. Sometimes the greatest act of power is to do nothing in the moment and everything later with clarity. The aim isn't to win arguments, it's to stay true to yourself, to choose the version of you that acts from groundedness, not from hurt, to move in alignment with who you are, not who they made you feel like in the heat of the moment. Responding overreacting is a high form of self-respect. It says, your chaos will not shake my peace. It says, I may feel the storm, but I will not become it. And that in itself is true power. There comes a moment when the only way to protect your peace is to create space. Not because you're giving up, but because you're choosing not to drown in what's harming you. When someone continues to wound you, ignore your boundaries, or exhaust your energy, staying close begins to cost you more than it gives. And yet, many hesitate to step away, afraid it might seem harsh, cold, or punitive, afraid of being misunderstood. But walking away isn't about punishment, it's about preservation. It's not rooted in ego, it's rooted in self-respect. It's the quiet decision that your well-being is worth protecting, that your energy is sacred, that you are not available for cycles that undo your growth. Choosing distance is an act of deep self-awareness. It means you recognize that your well-being matters. It means you've stopped hoping someone else will change, and instead, you've chosen to change your proximity. You've chosen truth over hope. It's a sign that you're no longer willing to lose yourself in the name of saving someone else. That you understand love without boundaries becomes sacrifice. And that true self-respect is knowing when to stay and when to leave. Attachment can often be mistaken for loyalty. But history and affection don't give others permission to keep harming you. Just because someone has been in your life a long time doesn't mean they've earned the right to stay. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and even for them is to let go. Sometimes love means letting go. Sometimes the most compassionate act is stepping back. Not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Out of care for your own well-being. Out of the quiet realization that holding on is starting to hurt more than it heals. Creating distance doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't require drama or confrontation. Often, it's quiet. It's in the way you stop over-explaining, in the way you stop chasing, in how you reclaim your energy without fanfare. It's in the shift from trying to be understood to understanding yourself, from needing to prove your worth to knowing it silently, deeply. You don't need to slam a door. Just stop knocking on the one that keeps closing in your face. You don't need to send a final message, a grand declaration. Sometimes the most powerful goodbye is the one that is never spoken, but fully lived. And know this, healing rarely happens in the same environment where the hurt began. You can't bloom in the same soil that stifled you. Distance gives you space to see clearly, to hear your inner voice without the noise, to remember who you are when you're not busy trying to be accepted or understood by someone who simply can't see you. There is peace in walking away from situations that make you question your worth, a quiet power in choosing yourself over and over again. When you stop justifying your value to those who refuse to see it, you free yourself, not just from them, but from the exhausting need to prove anything at all. That's not weakness, that's maturity, that's grace. You're not withdrawing to teach them a lesson. You're moving on because you've learned yours. You've grown, you've evolved, and now staying small to maintain their comfort is no longer an option. You've seen that some relationships are best loved from afar, that not everyone is meant to walk into your future, and that's okay. Some chapters aren't meant to last forever. Some people are simply passing through to show you what you need, what you deserve, or what you must no longer tolerate. Letting go, creating space, moving forward. These are not signs of failure, they are signs of rising, of finally stepping into your own wholeness, of shedding what no longer aligns with your truth. These acts aren't selfish, they are sacred. They are how you honor your own soul. Your peace is yours to guard. No one else will do it for you. If someone's presence shakes your balance, then stepping back isn't just allowed, it's essential. It's how you stay whole, how you protect the parts of you that once bent too far. Pain has a way of narrowing your world. One betrayal, one heartbreak, one deep wound, and suddenly everything contracts. You replay it, you search for reasons, you ache to understand, you revisit every moment hoping for clarity that may never come. But here's the truth. While you may not control who hurt you or how, you absolutely control what happens next. You control how you rise, how you rebuild, how you redirect the narrative. One of the most profound choices you can make is to turn your pain into growth. To use the wound as a window into your own depth, your needs, your resilience. Every hurtful experience carries insight. It reveals where your boundaries need to be firmer, where your trust was misplaced, where your strength is waiting to awaken. It teaches you not only what to walk away from, but what to walk toward. When you shift from asking, why me, to what can I learn? You shift from victim to victor. You become the author again. Your pain becomes the fire that forges you, not the weight that breaks you. Think of pain as a messenger. It calls attention to the parts of you that need healing, reinforcement, and change. Maybe it's teaching you self-respect. Maybe it's showing you what no longer fits. Maybe it's guiding you to a new chapter. Either way, listen closely and let it move you forward. But growth doesn't mean denying the hurt. It doesn't mean pretending everything is okay or skipping over the heartbreak. It means feeling it fully, letting the grief move through you like a storm, grieving the loss of what was, the illusion, the trust, the time, releasing what you can't change, then slowly, deliberately choosing to rise. There is great power in turning what was meant to destroy you into the very thing that strengthens you. In using the pain not as a stopping point, but as a starting point, as a catalyst, as the spark that sets your transformation in motion. Scars don't have to be hidden. They aren't signs of shame. They can be worn like medals, badges of survival, reminders that you went through something that tried to break you, and you're still here. Maybe not the same, but wiser, stronger, clearer. Pain can harden you, or it can refine you. It can turn you cold, or it can carve you into someone deeper. Someone who feels more, sees more, and loves more carefully. The choice lies in what you do next. You can close off, or you can open your eyes. You can shrink, or you can expand. You can grow bitter, or you can grow better. This isn't about revenge. It's about rebirth. It's about creating beauty from ashes, meaning from chaos. Every painful moment is a piece of your story. But it doesn't have to be the whole story. Let it be the turning point, the page where everything changed. Not because the pain disappeared, but because you stopped letting it define you. Don't just carry the pain. Transform it. Shape it. Let it fuel the rise of a version of you who will never again abandon their worth. A version of you who no longer begs for closure, but chooses peace, forgiveness, a word so often misunderstood. Many think forgiving means excusing, forgetting, or welcoming someone back into your life. But real forgiveness is none of those things. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's not about making peace with the person who hurt you. It's about making peace with the impact. It's about saying, you may have hurt me, but you don't get to keep hurting me. It's not a gift to the one who hurt you. It's liberation for yourself. A clean break from the emotional chains that have held you hostage. When someone wounds you, it's normal to hold on to the pain, to replay the moment again and again, to ruminate, to rehearse the words you wish you had said, to imagine revenge as justice. You cling to anger because letting go feels like surrender, like letting them off the hook. But holding on to anger is a prison. It binds you to the past. It steals your energy. It poisons your joy. It turns your days into battlefields you never asked to be on. Meanwhile, the one who hurt you may have long moved on, and you're still carrying the weight, still burning under the memory, still bleeding from wounds that should have closed. Forgiveness means saying, I will no longer let your actions define my spirit. I won't let your choices shrink who I am or who I'm becoming. It doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't require contact. It doesn't even require an apology. It's a silent, sacred release. A quiet declaration of freedom. It's choosing to let go of the rope that's been burning your hands, the rope you've clung to in the name of justice, but that's only caused you pain. Forgiveness isn't a single act, it's a practice. A decision you may have to make more than once. On hard days, the pain may return, but you remind yourself, I've chosen release, I've chosen peace. And in that choice, you reclaim power. You step back into your life. Because forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It simply breaks its grip on your future. And that is where healing begins. It isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the strength to say, I am more than what you did to me, more than what broke me, more than what I lost, more than the silence, the betrayal, or the disappointment. You are not your wounds. You are not the pain. You are not the version of yourself that existed in your lowest moment. You are the person who rose beyond it, who didn't stay buried in the debris, who crawled forward even when it hurt. And that kind of resilience is unshakable. That kind of strength can't be taught. It's earned, it's lived, it's bled for. Life has a way of delivering both beauty and pain, moments of joy and moments of reckoning. People arrive, some to uplift, others to teach hard lessons. Not everyone is meant to stay. Not every connection will heal, but every experience can shape. When you're hurt deeply, your world shifts. You feel untethered. At first, you resist. You ache. You question everything, your worth, your judgment, your ability to trust. You replay conversations. You search for closure. You crave an apology that may never come. But with time, you stop seeking answers. You begin choosing peace, not by pretending the pain didn't happen, not by rewriting the past, but by refusing to let it keep happening within you. Because holding on doesn't protect, it prolongs. It binds you to a version of you that is no longer alive. It keeps the wound open long after the knife is gone. So perhaps now is the moment to stop hiding the hurt and start healing it. To stop shrinking just to keep the peace with people who never gave you peace. To build boundaries that breathe, not walls that suffocate. To open your heart, not in recklessness, but in wisdom. To pause and respond like someone who knows their value. to walk away from what keeps breaking you, even if it's familiar, even if it once felt like love. To use the pain not as a chain, but as a catalyst, a starting point, not a sentence. Forgivingly, to forgive, not for them, but for your freedom. Because peace isn't passive, it's a choice. It's an act of power. You deserve lightness. You deserve peace. You deserve to move forward, not unscarred, but undefeated. Because healing isn't forgetting what they did. It's remembering who you are and choosing yourself again and again. That is how you reclaim your story. That is how you rise.